Hi guys, I basically want to make a video about two things that I think a lot of people have shown curiosity about, and also I think would just be interesting. So I wanted to make a video talking about the process of making a big finished painting, as that was my goal at Wethersfield, was to make just one painting in addition to my other sketches and stuff, but I wanted to make like a finished studio style painting. And also just about what the experience has translated in terms of like how like my life as an artist and like what that did for me in terms of like how I work now. And also I wanted to talk about just the experience in general and just express gratitude basically, because it was such an amazing experience and I just am so grateful to have been a part of it, and I want to share as much as I can with you guys just the experience. So yeah, let's get started. So basically my painting process, I start with these little compositional studies. They're tiny, they're about this big. And I'm basically looking for just a composition that feels right. And the big shapes, I'm using two tones. I'm just using the paper tone and then just a little bit of graphite, just filled in shapes. And I just, for this painting in particular, I wanted to make a painting that felt open and atmospheric as I was looking from, you know, the terrace view, which is just so beautiful from the estate. I mean, it's unbelievable. And so instantly when I came to Wethersfield, I saw that view and I'm just like, I want to paint that, because it's just like, it's the epitome of the place to me, just that view. And also, I don't know, just that first night at the reception dinner, it was the view from the terrace, and it was just so pretty, and I just have great memories from there. So I wanted to make a big painting of it. So basically I started at these little they're called thumbnail sketches. It's like a couple inches. It's the same aspect ratio as your big painting, but you just shrink it way down so you're not boggled down with information. And then I move on to basically a bigger version of that, and I have a couple more values. So basically I'll explain values. Values is it's your scale of bright and dark. So you have your brightest and your darkest points, and then steps in between. It's just like a grayscale, like you can picture it in your head. But basically with the drawing, I wanted to just get the big tone shapes, as well as, you know, elements I wanted to include into like the foreground, and also just a kind of idea of shape relationships in the drawing. When I'm working from life, I want to like plumbing, like how things are lining up vertically and also horizontally, and just general sizing relationships, and just like kind of building the shapes of my picture and problem solving. All these early stages are about problem solving. So it starts with the drawings, and then you move on to a poster study, and then you finally move on to your final painting. And you do all these beginning stages or steps in order to problem solve more, so you aren't running into basic issues in your big painting. You've already resolved those issues in your smaller studies. And you have the ability to look back at your smaller studies and remember the issues that you did encounter and how you problem solve them. So I guess I'll move on to the poster study. Basically with the drawing, I was just problem solving those big compositional things and values. But into the poster study, I was working mostly, I took the information I learned from the drawing and I put it into the same kind of scale, painting. And I was focusing on color and value and how things push back in atmosphere, and how value and color changes translate that idea of atmosphere and openness in the giant, beautiful space that was the estate. So I worked holistically and I worked broadly, just focusing on the color, value, and just the holistic idea of the picture in general, like the color relationships, the value relationships, and little color notes, like there's blues and purples in the further distance, and also like how much yellow there was in the foreground, and how foreground elements are relating to each other, but also to the background elements and the sky, and like how skinny of a value range is this going to be compared to the things that are closer to you with less atmosphere. And the way landscape works is you have your brightest bright and your darkest dark, and as you go back in space, your brightest bright is up here, your value range compresses. It goes up to your lightest light, and the darks kind of just get brighter and brighter, or closer and closer to your like brightest brights. So I wanted to explore that, but in a broad, loose way where I just got color information and value information and an overall compositional idea of how colors are playing off each other and things like that. So why do we do this, and why is it used for the bigger work? Well, for landscape painting in particular, you're working outside. Things are going to change. I mean, things change within 10 minutes of each other, but especially day to day, you could have a day that's so humid, and then a day the next day that's, you know, it's so not humid, and you can see much more in the distance, or, you know, differing weather variations is obviously going to, you know, play a factor in painting outside. So this helps me stay anchored on the idea of what I want for the painting, while also being able to work from life. So I have the two things. I have the world I created versus the world I'm seeing, and it just allows me to pick and choose elements I like, and also problem solve things that I'm going to see. It's the 4th of July weekend, so there's a lot of fireworks outside, so I'm sorry if you hear those. But yeah, that's basically the poster study. It's a small version of the big painting and big color ideas and like value relationships. So let's move on to the big finished painting. So what I did with my color study is I basically reenacted the process I wanted for my finished painting, which is doing an underdrawing in charcoal. I wipe it out with I ghost the lines with paper towel so it doesn't mix with my paint. And I did a 2-day drawing on this big 18 by 24 canvas on site. So I was working on the big painting on site. And then I basically ghost out the lines, and then I start my first pass. I started from back to front. So I worked with the sky, and that I spent 2 days on the drawing. I don't know how long I spent on the first pass. It was probably like a week, working most days that week in like the afternoons. And then so the first pass, I'm basically trying to get the big shapes and any underlying textures that I want to exist within the painting. So basically, when I'm working on the first pass, I'm thinking I'm keeping my value range a little more middle compressed, so I'm not using my extremes. And I'm also anticipating the second pass. The first pass is an anticipation for the second pass, which is a more rich painting on top of the world I've already built. So in the first pass, I worked back to front, and I did a more muted version of the painting and also a more compressed version of the painting. And I spent the most time on the first pass. It was a combination of the drawing and the color value relationships and the holistic idea of the picture while working from my color study. And yeah, once I got the biggest challenge of painting in general is getting your whole picture covered so you can work on top of it. And so my goal was to just get the most detailed painting I could do at that time, and then cover my painting doing those two things. That was my biggest goal with the first pass, which is cover the whole thing and be as detailed about it as I can, within reason of not spending 8 months on the painting. So I finished the first pass, and then I moved on to the second pass, which is glazing, which is thinning out your paint and then going over whole sections with a new tone to add, to just modify whole sections, or doing more detailed work in a fuller value range. So my basic map that I learned from the color study as well as the drawing, the preliminary drawing, is to keep things more compressed as things recede. And I just tried to stick to that idea. That was the biggest idea I held the entire painting. So I just did everything to push that idea of things receding back in space, whether it's with color, value, edges. I softened, there's harder edges in the foreground than there is in the background, or as things recede. So yeah, that's in the second pass, I basically just used my full value range and added details. On these trees, there's little just specks of a very bright yellow that I added to just, And those little accents, if you do them in the early stages of painting, they just look off. You need to do them at the very end of your painting so they just sit perfectly within your painting. So I did my darkest darks and my lightest lights last. In the second pass, again, the second pass is just like it's just working on top of the painting you established earlier, but in a full value range and more brilliant color. And it allows you to like add impastos and other like fun things. It's the funnest stage of the painting for me, at least, because I'm already like, I'm just working within this like, I don't know, this world I've created, and then I just get to like bring it to life, and it's just such a satisfying part of the painting. And then the very last stage of the entire process is varnishing the painting. So your painting, if there's impastos and stuff, you have to let it dry for a while. And I just generally try to let my paintings dry for a while before I varnish them, just so I know everything's dry. I know the varnishing is basically the final layer of the painting, where as your painting dries, it loses the brilliancy of its color and also the value range that you originally painted. Like, the drying process of a painting changes the way the painting looks, and the varnish brings back the original quality of the painting that you made. So varnish is just, I have a video that I'll show during this video of another painting. This painting's not dry enough to varnish yet. Yeah, the varnish is the very last stage of the painting, and it brings the full richness of the original painting out. And that's basically my entire process in terms of working from life. I know some people will do a lot of work on the bigger painting from photographs in conjunction with the color study. I did that a little bit with like the tree detail and things like that, but for the most part, since I was on site, I was just working from life. So there's a lot of, it depends on the situation and what you need to do to get the painting done. I think that's the most important part, is just, making paintings. So yeah, that's basically the process of, it's a lengthy explanation, but there's a lot that goes into a painting. So I think it's important to really just understand the aspect of, I had sketchier work at the fellowship, and I know other people created paintings that were smaller. I don't know if like everybody goes into painting with different intentions, but I wanted to make a big finished painting in conjunction with my sketches, and just kind of experiment with processes while I was at Wethersfield. And I saw that as a great opportunity to do that. And I know a lot of the other fellows are planning to turn their smaller studies they did on site, like I did with my poster study, into a larger painting like I have here. And that basically outlines, like, a lot of people that went to the reception, they saw sometimes sometimes I go into a painting and I want a finished looking sketch, and I think there's value to that. I think sometimes it's more lively than an actual like finished painting like this. But I know a lot of people there were looking to work from their studies and make a bigger painting like I have here. So I think it's just about your intentions with the painting, and yeah, and the process revolves around your intentions of what you want to do. And I have processes for making a finished sketch that's different than making a finished painting. Like, I could do a 2-day painting this size without the preliminary drawings and stuff, and it's just like, I have a different process for that. So yeah, that's basically all I have to say about the process. And again, I've learned so much about just painting in general, and I'm so excited for what I learned at Wethersfield. And I want to share that process with you guys. So in the next part of the video, I'm just going to talk about kind of transitioning into like how my experience at Wethersfield and just how amazing it was, and what I learned kind of transformed into my my life as an artist, and how it really like impacted me. And just, yeah, and I just want to express gratitude for the people that organized it. So in this part of the video, I just wanted to talk about, other things besides the process specifically that I gained from Wethersfield, and just, the experience itself, what it really transformed for me as an artist in general, and also just just talking about the experience and what I thought was the elements that brought things together in such an unexpected way, and just show gratitude. I want to give a special thank you to Tara Schaefer, Bernadette Murray, and just everybody that made the event possible on Wethersfield's side. And I also want to thank Jacob Collins, who organizes the Hudson River Fellowship. I just think it's such an incredible opportunity for people to come together and just do something that's really just amazing. So I just want to express gratitude to you guys, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity. So thank you. I want to talk about, why I think, I'll speak for myself, but I think a lot of this carries over to the other fellows. Just why we make the kind of paintings we do, and also how the beauty of the estate kind of intertwines with our fascination with, visual elements and just the beauty that is at Wethersfield. So for me, the reason I make paintings like this is I think there is such a human experience standing in front of a painting, and you're able to get so much more out of the painting than just what the person was seeing. You're getting the feeling of the scene. You're getting what inspired that artist, what the artist found beautiful. You're getting the spatial feeling of things within the painting that I think photos can't capture. I think for me, it's just viewing a painting is an experience, and creating a painting is also an experience. And it's just such an amazing thing to be able to translate a human experience onto a panel like this, and to share that experience with other people. And it's so great to see other people connect with artwork for maybe the same reasons you connected with the senior painting, but also maybe for other reasons that you could never expect. And that's what I've learned to expect now, is people will connect with your artwork for reasons you couldn't even think of. So that just makes it even more reason to create what we're creating, because so many people can just latch onto something that they find within it. I think that's why I create this kind of artwork, is to share the experience of what I'm looking at with the other people, and allow them to experience it for themselves in their own way. And I really think that what happened at Wethersfield with the Hudson River Fellowship was one of the most important events for me in terms of painting, because it made me understand what it means to paint and why I'm doing this, and it brought me back to why I got started. And I think it's just, we all came here to paint, but then when we were with each other, the experience was just so exponentially, it was so much better. It was so beautiful. It was just, it was a dream. It was an absolute dream come true. I still can't believe I got to experience something like that. Just being with so many other artists that are there with the same goals, and to live and paint in such a beautiful place for such a long time. 3 weeks is a long time. And just to experience that with so many people, it was just so inspiring in terms of creating artwork, but also it was so inspiring just to hear the human story of everybody there. It inspired me so much in conjunction with the beautiful scenery of Wethersfield. I think exploring the property with some of my best friends that I've grown to love through this experience it is just the pure encapsulation of what I think art is. And it's so unbelievably human and beautiful. I can't express enough how perfect of a symbiosis of ideas meeting Wethersfield with the Hudson River Fellowship is. It's everything that painters are looking for. It really is. They're just being in school. The most important thing about school to me is obviously the education that you're getting, but the community and the people that you're surrounded with. And Wethersfield offers that community in such a like beautiful, inspiring place that it is just, it's like a math equation that always makes good art. Like, because you're just happy to be there and happy to be painting with such amazing people that it's easy to make good paintings, I feel like, because you're living the literal dream. You're living the dream of a painter. Like, you're at this beautiful place with beautiful people making beautiful artwork. And I think there's nothing greater than that. And I think that's what I want to translate into my life as an artist, is to keep things like this alive, keep community alive, keep trips alive, keep beautiful like experiences like this, create new ones, revisit Wethersfield with people, you know, just like all these different culminations of art making, I think is super, super important. I just want to express as much gratitude as I can to everybody that made this possible, all the staff, all the gardeners, everyone. I cannot believe that this experience was even real. There was nothing I can think of that could make this experience better for a painter. I think it was just an unbelievably, I feel so lucky to have gone, and I just feel extreme gratitude, and I just want to express that to you guys. So hopefully we can come back bigger and better, and I'm just so excited to see what happens with everybody and what happens in the future, because I think it's just like it's this like ground, this fertile soil that is just like beginning to sprout. And I think this collaboration is it's so monumental and so important for what we're doing and for what I think the Wethersfield Estate wants to, you know, project out as well. Like, I think classical art and just beauty itself is a big part of the estate. I mean, it's pretty obvious from just how beautiful the place is. So I hope to be back. I hope to visit. I hope to stay in touch with everybody. I hope to help develop this relationship more. And I hope to, you know, just do everything I can to make this opportunity possible again for more people and things like it. So, thank you, everybody. I hope this video helped clarify and also just give an insight into why I think this is so important and why I think everybody that went there is so grateful, because it really was an amazing experience. And again, I just cannot thank everybody that helped make this event possible enough. So thank you. I hope to be in touch with everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.